Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be doing a part 2 on the series of the horror. So let me get started on the first book. So this book is crazy, okay? It is nuts. When I say it's like different from the other horror stories I talked about, it is different. Like it's kind of similar to Split in a way because he has a split personality, you know, more than one person in his body. Well, actually it's only one more person. But this book, first book, is called Be Quiet and Obey, and it has 113k reads and 30 parts, and it's by Tina_Strong, and the book is complete. Let me read the description for y'all. Evie Wilson is known as the polite, slightly strange girl on campus. Apart from her best friend Melanie, most of her peers tend to avoid her. One man, however, is enthralled by the shy girl who has trouble socializing. Her respect and compliant nature has unwillingly attracted the attraction of a controlling man who wants her all for himself. Unfortunately for him, so does the psychotic voice inside his head. When Evie is forcibly ripped from her life by two people sharing a body, just who will she choose to obey? Okay, so the main character girl is Evie, and the guy, let me see, his name is Branton, and he has another split personality. His name is Rex, but that's not his name. So Evie gave the split personality name because he didn't have a name, and she was like, well, you look like or sound like my dog, Rex. So basically, Branton is literally obsessed with Evie. I'm telling you, like, watching her leave her dorm and going to other places, and sometimes he would say hi and she would say hi too, but it was like nothing more than that until one night when she's supposed to go to a Halloween party. He kidnapped her. She was walking across the street and she saw Branton across the street, and she's like, oh, what are you doing here? Like, you know, she got like a weird vibe from him too. And she's like, oh, what are you doing here? He's like, oh yeah, I just came from, he said from working or somewhere. He said from working, and I was like, okay, that's a red flag right there. She kind of got a weird vibe from him. Her friend was supposed to meet her, so she called her friend Melanie, which is her friend, like one of her friends there from college. She called her, and she was like, oh, you know, she didn't really say anything. She just called her, and he had her phone, bro. He had her friend's phone. He snuck into Melanie's room and stole her phone, and that's how he was able to get Evie. So Evie had the guts. She wanted to escape, but then Rex, the personality, came out, and he is way different than Branton. He's not really as obsessed as Branton is, because Branton like literally kidnapped her. He was like, I just want a new girl, like it's nothing more. Like if you bring me out of the body, because two years prior he was like the main person. Branton was like behind his head, like, you know, like far gone. He like took control. Rex took control. So he was like, okay, well, here's the deal. I'll help you escape if you let me take control of his body. Because 2 years ago I was taking control, but then Branton, like, you know, got his body back in control. And from there it gets nuts. Like literally she sleeps with Rex and not Branton. She sleeps with him. Branton regains conscious, and he was like, oh, I think there was one point in the chapter he said, who's Rex? And she was like nobody. And he was like, Branton was like, no, like you said Rex. Who's Rex? And then from there it got crazy. The ending will have you like a bit surprised too, and it gets good from there. But watch this because it's like similar to Split, but he only has one like split person. What is it called? Like a, I don't know. Leave in the comment section. Is it called split personality? It's called something where you have like a disorder where you have more than one personality. Am I correct? I'm not sure. But please read, be quiet, and obey. You will love it. This next story is called SILAS Infatuation, and it has 11.2k reads and 23 parts, and it's by sour_patch kids, and it's ongoing and it is mature. Let me read the description. When Silas Quinn notices dark-skinned Celeste Green at a hospital, his whole world changes. He may think it changed for the good, but it's actually for the worse. Silas slowly but surely becomes obsessed with Celeste, melanin skin and big dark brown eyes, without even realizing his new infatuation. His addiction to her makes the rest of the world go dull, as he only thinks about being with Celeste. This story, I'm still reading it. This story is ongoing. So basically, Silas one day, he works at the, where does he work? Oh, he works at like a car dealership somewhere, automobile place. And he basically got cut on his head. Something happened when he was working on the cars. And then he ended up in the hospital and he had to get stitches. So Celeste comes in and he is just like in awe, like, oh my gosh, who is this girl? Like, I need to go on a date with her. Like it was like first love, like sighting, like literally he was like in love right there at that moment. Celeste wasn't even worried. She was like, I'm taking care of my patients. That's about it. Point blank period. So then Celeste, is patching him up. Like, oh, what seems to be the problem? And then Silas told her, like, oh yeah, like when I was working on the cars, I cut myself. She's like, okay, let me get you all stitched up. Meanwhile, this whole time, Celeste was like stitching him up. He was just looking at her the whole time. I was just like, okay, like, I mean, I understand, like, dang, she's pretty, but okay, you don't have to keep staring at me. Like, come on now, like, I get it. Every few days, he would go to the hospital to meet Celeste and talk to her. So one day, he asked her on a date, and she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. They got drunk, went back to his place. They had sex there at his place. She left. It was like basically like one night stand, like I'm leaving the next day, bye. So I guess Silas wakes up and he doesn't see her, so he goes to her job, to bring her flowers, which is kind of weird because it was only the first date. When he goes into the hospital, he walks in at the front desk. He's like, oh, I'm looking for Celeste. And the front desk lady's like, okay, yeah, you can go right in. She's on her lunch break. So let me get there. So when he goes to where, she takes her lunch break, Celeste is talking about him and all the problems about him, and to her friend Rhea. He heard everything that Celeste was saying to Rhea, and I was like, ooh, like something's gonna happen. So she was just saying like, oh, it was alright. Like, it wasn't the best night ever. Like, I don't know if I would see him again, whatever. She said some other stuff before she could even say the rest. He walked by the door and then they saw him and she was then like, oops, I didn't mean to say that. So then Rhea left, was like looking at him like, okay. Like, she kind of got a weird vibe from him. So then he gave the flowers or whatever. They both did mention like even what she was talking about. He did say, why did she leave? And she was like, I had to go to work. She really did have to go to work though. She really did. She had to leave. She had to be there by like 8 o'clock in the morning. From there, he kind of gets a little possessive, y'all. He like a little controlling a little bit. It's weird. Silas does not trust Rhea, and Rhea does not trust Silas at all. Like, Rhea has some suspicions. Silas thinks that Rhea is getting in the way of the relationship, and it, to me, y'all, it is not. It seems like it ain't going far. So long story short, she gets kidnapped, and I think that's where like the chapter ends off. I think he killed Rhea, guys. So I'm gonna tell y'all that. So he did kill Rhea, but it's a whole plot twist with Rhea. It gets crazy from there. Even when after he kidnapped her, I'm waiting sour underscore patch kids. Like, where you at? I need an update because this story is getting good. So please, this story read it. It's really good. This very last story, is called, hold on, y'all, Force You Down, and it has 292k reads in 18 parts, and it's by myhearttotake, and it is complete and it is mature. So let me read the description. It's not even a little, there's like a little bit of description. As she tries to suppress an awful memory, Jacqueline Cordy lives a normal life as best she can, and just like that, everything is taken from her. So this story, let me see, I have notes, y'all. I have notes. Let me go to my notes. So Jacqueline, lives a normal life. So basically, this story is really short, y'all, but plot twist end. There is a plot twist at the end. I'm not even gonna tell you a lot about this one. So basically, Jacqueline is visiting her grandma who has Alzheimer's. So, after she visits her grandma, she goes outside. Her rest of her family's still in there, talking to her grandma, and Jacqueline goes outside, and then she sits down, but then she hears something in the alleyway. And every Wattpad story, you should not be going to look in the alleyway because stuff is going to happen. No. Why would you go look in the alleyway? That is a no. That is a no. Do not go look in the alleyway, okay? This girl, Jacqueline, really had the nerve to go all the way to the alley, and she saw Mike, and he is a gang leader. She didn't know his name. He mentioned it in the middle, but I'm going to just tell y'all guys his name now. So Mike is the gang leader, and he's pointing a gun at somebody who owes money. I don't remember. And Jacqueline just staring. And Mike and the guy are going back and forth, and then he shoots him in the head. And then Jacqueline screamed, and then Mike saw, and everybody else saw. Then she ran all the way back inside the house. They were chasing her, but I don't think they saw her go inside there. So she goes back in there. She pretends like nothing happened. Everybody's like, oh, what? Like, are you good? Like, she's like, yeah. She doesn't mention anything that she saw a freaking murder on the side of the alleyway. So then they all say goodbye to the grandma, and then they leave. They were getting ready. They pulled out, and then she rolls down the window, and she looks over, and it is freaking Mike and everybody else looking at her. And he mouthed, "See you soon." He did see her soon, y'all. So he basically knew where she lived, and he's like, he kept writing her notes like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna find you." He found her. Like, he's like, "I'm gonna get you tonight." She ended up going to one of her friend's house, stayed the night, and then he left her a note, and it was like, "Oh, you think you could get away from me? Like I'm coming. I'm coming to get you." So he kidnapped her the first time. She escaped, ran all the way back to her house, y'all. Called her brother and was like, "Oh, somebody tried to kidnap me, and his name is Mike." Like, she eventually told him, like, this guy, his name is Mike. Meanwhile, y'all, the parents are like, "Oh, okay, just stay in the house." They, what, they really didn't care about her. Like, they were like, "Oh, we can't leave. Like, it's business. Like, we can't, like, no, your daughter is in trouble. Like, she's gonna get kidnapped. Who cares?" So then he ended up kidnapping her, and they couldn't find her at all. I think she tried to escape one time, but she couldn't get over the wall because it had a fence. And then they found her and brought her back in, but then she escaped the second time, y'all. And she ran, she yelled help. Mike was chasing her. The cops came, and then all you heard was a shot. And from there, it's a whole plot twist, because I had to read it again to make sure, like, was I hallucinating? Because there was some hallucinations going on in the book. So, like, I had to read it a couple times just to make sure I wasn't tripping. But this story has a plot twist. You will be so surprised. But read Force You Down. It's really good. I feel like this is the best book out of all together, all three of them. This is hands down good. This is the whole plot twist. And it's mature too. You know mature is good. You know if they're mature in it, it's gonna be good. So read Force You Down. Let me know in the comment section what book you like, and let me know if you guys have read it and what you think about the book. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.